Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle presented by FanDuel. We appreciate you being here, whether you are live listening on podcast or YouTube after the fact. We are going to be doing our Big Ten power rankings, kind of old school throwback to last season because I got casual Big Ten here with me to talk about our power rankings, have just some discussion, go through it, debate as you come to know and love from when we do our power rankings together. Kent, man, it's been a while. How you been?
It's been a long time, man. I've been great. This has been a very exciting start to the football season, and honestly, this was the one week I was like, I got to get on the power rankings episode because of a couple reasons, but the main reason is because of all the Big Ten, like on Big Ten action. But also, I absolutely, unlike most of the country, love the late night games, and I was like, JR's gonna be up late. I'm gonna be up late. We're going to be two of the only people up late watching football, so I got to jump on and talk with him, man. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me, man.
Of course. Anytime. Yeah, I realized I scheduled this one for like 11:55, and I didn't realize I did that. So there's a whole bunch of people in the chat that's like, "Where's JR? Where's JR?" Sorry, I am here. I just am stupid with how I schedule stuff. So my apologies. I'll do better with that next time. Yeah, we're about halfway through the third quarter right now of the USC Michigan State game. Looks like USC is gonna win this one. So we went ahead, put together our power rankings. Obviously, if USC ends up losing, disregard those, and we'll come out with the real ones later on.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
it seems pretty solid that USC is going to win this game. And I do want to bring up before we get started, the Wayne Matthews injury was obviously horrifying, and I didn't see exactly what happened to him. But anytime a guy goes out on a stretcher like that, and there's questions about his movements and everything, it's obviously very serious. Praying for Wayne Matthews. There was a reporter from Michigan State that came out that said, according to a Michigan State spokesperson, Wayne Matthews' motor skills are intact after his scary injury. He's at Los Angeles General right now, so motor skills intact is at least good news for now. We'll see what happens, but hope everything's okay with Wayne Matthews there.
Yeah, I just heard on the broadcast too. I think they said I don't know a lot about this type of stuff, but I echo everything that you just said. I think they said something along the lines of like a level one either care that he's getting or a level one injury, which is like the highest level that they take seriously, I think, at the hospital. I kind of mentioned it. I heard it mentioned as I was getting ready to come on here. So that's a kind of another little update that he's being well taken care of. But it is a very serious and high level injury that we're talking about here. So obviously, like, praying for him and make sure everything's okay. And hopefully we'll hear some good news even later tonight or early tomorrow morning.
For sure. We are getting some people in here now. Aiden Mayer is here saying Fickell is gone. Man, I'm right there with you. It's not good. I know
Is
the
he
Minnesota
though?
fans are rooting for him to stay though.
Is he? Everybody that I like, everything I saw on Twitter was just like his buyout's too big. And I heard
Yeah.
anywhere from 25 to 50 million. If it's 25, like, yeah, that's a lot, but it's like,
Well, the thing not a lot of people know about Fickell's buyout is, and I talked to somebody about this, so I mean, I guess trust it if you want or not, but because I don't think it's been publicized. But the thing with Fickell's buyout is it doesn't all have to be paid at once; it can be paid over a yearly time. And so that's the big difference here is that Fickell, if his buyout, I don't know exactly how much it is either, but say it is $50 million, he can pay that over, you know, 5-10 years, and it's smaller than trying to pay
it's like
fifty
almost
million dollars
nothing
all
at
at
that
once.
point, right?
Yeah, pretty
Like he's
much.
getting no money at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I'll gladly take the money if he doesn't want it. If it's
I
just
know.
too little, just donate it to me.
I would love to go be Wisconsin's coach for a couple years and then get fired like
Yeah,
unceremoniously and just make that money over the next like 10 years. That'd be fine with me. I'd be
yeah,
okay with that. I wanted to mention one other thing that you said at the beginning, real quick, JR, if you don't mind.
yeah.
You were
Go ahead.
saying if USC blows this game, I feel like this show would almost be better if it was just like a live watch of us
Well, I
having
have it
Michigan
here
State
next to
like
me.
come back and win this game.
I have it here next to me, and Michigan
Me
State
too.
did just punch a fumble out.
They
So
did. That
we'll
did. That's
see.
what reminded me to say that. I was like, wait a minute here. It is 17-31. and Michigan State just got the ball back. So it would be, I mean, anyone listening to this in the future is like, okay, we know what
Yeah.
happens. This is dumb, but it
Yeah.
would be crazy if they came back though.
Just indulge us, okay? It's
Yeah.
2 a.m. here on the East Coast. All
Yeah.
right, just help us out, okay? We're gonna talk plenty of Hoosiers and everything. Max is already in here. He said I made it to the show this evening. Jr. Not holding your Illinois pick against you, but you were clearly in duress, given the blinking. Yeah, he asked me if I was in duress and to blink, and I mean making that pick between the Illinois and Indiana game, I was in duress. I own
Yeah.
it. I went with Illinois, but yikes, that was a bad pick.
I think I'm never doing picks again because I stopped that last year. I
Yeah.
was like, it does nothing but get me in trouble because no one's ever happy when you're right. No
Hmm.
one ever comes back and goes, "Oh, Jr. Well, great picks, man. You're so smart, knowledgeable. Like
Yeah.
you're a great college football follow. Like, thank you for the good picks, man. It's only when you miss
Yep.
that people come back. So it's like, why am I even doing this to
And
myself?
they
This is
blame you
dumb.
for losing them money. It's like, oh, it's
Oh
your
yeah,
fault that I lost money. It's like,
yeah,
how is it my? I lost money myself, but
yeah,
that's my
totally.
fault. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I just feel like I'm out on the picks completely.
Yeah. It's tough life. The pick life is a tough one. So yeah, I have been convinced. I put Indiana over Penn State and over Oregon as well. Now, I
Mm.
I will say the results of the Oregon Penn State game may change that next week, but for now, I thought, you know what? We'll see what happens, but I wanna give Indiana their due, give them their credit. You really gave them their due and gave them their credit, man. Kent, you got them at 1.
I got about one. They are one right now.
Okay,
They
all
are
right.
number one. They have the most impressive, I mean, almost, I would say, arguably in all of college football this year. Has there been a more impressive win than what we just witnessed tonight? I don't think so.
I mean, you had Miami beating USF pretty handily, but I mean that's a group of 5 team that beat an overrated Florida team. So you know, um, I
Top
don't I
10
don't think
team.
that's I don't think that's as impressive. They were top 20, but they weren't top 10.
Yeah.
The only other one I was thinking of was I think South Carolina was ranked 11th or 15th or something like that when Vanderbilt blew them out. But to me, it's just gonna be funny when we start hearing the narrative from all these AP poll voters and all these ESPN people. You watch Sunday and Monday, you're gonna hear the narrative of, oh, Illinois just wasn't that good. Indiana, they just got them at home, and Illinois had all these injuries. And while the injury point is true, and I do think that's something we need to look at, I'm not gonna like excuse them from it because this is the team that Illinois has with playing with right now. So I got them down in my power rankings behind Washington and Michigan. I have them barely above Iowa, but I'll be honest, I don't feel great about that. I think that they have a good enough secondary still to stop Iowa's passing attack, so I still have them above there. But I mean, the Illinois defensive line is good enough. They should not get run all over like Rutgers did, but still, I mean, it's a close one there with Illinois and Iowa.
Yeah, I'm a drama queen when it comes to moving teams in the rankings. So like I knocked Illinois way down, way, 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 way down. But that's just because I do that all the time. But I will not be like the AP voters, like you were saying. I'm not going to say, well, oh, Illinois wasn't that good. They weren't that good. No, I had them at 4 last week. I thought they were the 4th best team in the conference. And that's part of the reason why I have Indiana all the way back up, or not back up. Well, I did have them at 1 last year, but all the way up to 1 is because, in my opinion, going into this weekend, Indiana just beat the living, you know what, out of what I thought was the 4th best team in the conference. So I'm going to own what I thought it was going into the weekend. And that's why I gave Indiana so much more credit. And on the flip side of that, like I said, I'm just dramatic. So that's why I dropped Illinois so far down. And I don't know if I'll get any pushback this week from Illinois fans. I feel like most of them are just like, oh my gosh, I don't even like, they kind of got caught off guard with this game like the rest of us did, I would imagine. So I don't think that they're really going to care where they're at right now. Long season still ahead of them though, and I still think that they're a really good team. But yeah, tonight they did not look themselves at all tonight. It was very weird to watch.
Yeah, I think the injuries did have a lot to do with it, and then also, I mean, the offensive line just was not good. I would have thought that
Terrible.
you know Brett Bielema would have fixed that. I would have thought that he would have made sure going into this game, you've seen the Indiana defensive line and what they're able to do and how creative they are with getting pressure on the quarterback, that you would have prepared enough for that. And I don't know, maybe they did prepare enough, and maybe the offensive linemen just aren't that good. That's also a possibility. Which, if that's the case, you're really looking at a troublesome situation here, because there's a number of teams in the Big Ten right now that do not have good offensive lines and do not have good secondaries, and most of those teams lost this week. Michigan State, Wisconsin,
Careful there.
Nebraska.
Careful with the Michigan State talk, man.
Oh, okay,
They're
all
on the
right,
goal line here. They're
all
coming
right, okay.
back.
All right, we will see. But yeah, I mean, for now, Wisconsin,
Yeah.
Nebraska, like, yeah. So,
I
Max
think
says
that
if
oh, go
or
ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry.
I was going to ask Max's question here. He says if Indiana goes 10-2 and loses at Oregon and Penn State, do they make the playoffs? It's interesting that you ask that, Max, because you could go on over to the playoff odds, which are, well, Kent, you talk for a second. I can't find them.
Well, I was just going to go back one beat about what you were talking about with the offensive lines. I do want to give Indiana's defense a ton of credit, though, because and I also think that the broadcast did a good job talking about this throughout the game, was how well Indiana's defense was disguising where they're bringing pressure from. And obviously they were bringing it from every direction, it seemed like, all night. But the way that they kind of disguised things, and the way that they were drawing up their defensive plays, I want to give Indiana the credit on that too. But it is worth mentioning how bad Illinois' offensive line was on top of that. But I felt like a lot of the same things I was seeing in the Michigan and Nebraska games, as far as from the defensive end, when you compare Michigan and Indiana. A ton of pressure the whole game against a quarterback who I thought going into this week, and I still do, for both of these guys, were really good in Luke Altmaier and Dylan Raiola. But all the pressure that they got, and the way that both teams disguised their pressure and just kept bringing it, kept bringing it, kept bringing it. I want to give credit to those defenses too.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, I don't have the playoff odds for Indiana. I guess they take the playoff odds down on Saturday. So I guess if you're listening to this Sunday, you can check back for Indiana. But the odds to win the conference, Indiana still sits at sixth in the conference at plus 1,400. Now it's closer. The third team is Michigan at plus 1,200. So it's very close there for that third spot. After Indiana, you have a drop off with plus 5,000 for Washington on FanDuel. So you do have a drop off there, and it is closer than you would think. But I don't know if Kent, if you're really a believer in these Hoosiers, man, you might go throw some money on them and see if they win the conference this year.
I'd do it, because the way that I saw them play tonight, and this again is why I have them at number one. Obviously, not every college game is going to repeat itself, and not every college football team is going to be like, you can't watch one game and be like, that's what they're going to be all season. I get that. I've watched enough college football to know that. But I also live in a world where I know what I just saw tonight. If they can keep even 90% up of what they did tonight, I think that they're good enough to win the conference. And I think that they're better than any team, any of the other 17 teams, if it's what we saw tonight, even at 90%. Like I said, it was just so incredible tonight. It felt like everything they did was working. Every play call, like, you want to run a middle screen? Yeah, let's run a middle screen right now. You want to run an RPO? You pick which one you want to do. You can keep it or throw it. It doesn't matter. It's going to work. Everything was working. Defense, like I already talked about, every blitz pressure was working. Everyone was in the right coverage. And, when you got a team that's so locked in like that and working together, and, it, like I said, if they can repeat that, they can definitely win the conference. They can be better than any team in the country, really, honestly, based on what they did tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they was working all night. Other than that one play where Pons got a little tempted to hit the route going over to the other side, and he bailed out on his guy. But
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen when you have an aggressive cornerback. And I'm not going to tell D'Angelo Pons to stop doing that. That's one of the things that makes him
Right.
amazing, right? So yeah, I think to answer your question, Max. Long story short, if they go 10-2 with a win like this, if they beat Iowa, maybe not, like super big. It doesn't have to be, but handily enough to where they're obviously the better team, especially on the road. Then if those two games against Oregon and Penn State are respectable, then I think they're pretty likely to make the playoffs as long as Illinois doesn't fall off and go like 6-6 and 7-5, which I don't think that'll happen, but you never know.
I agree. I think they
So
would. They would. I think that they would be in, and I hope that they would be in because we can get what we just saw again tonight in the playoffs. They can beat anybody,
mhm.
literally anybody. So
They could. They could. How about Maryland? You have them pretty high up there. Kent, you have Maryland right in front of Iowa. They're actually in the spot where I have Illinois for mine, eighth in your power rankings, right behind Washington, who Washington had a little bit of a scare against Washington State, but they pulled ahead and won that one 59-24. I'd still say it was a good performance, even though Washington State came back a little bit. It was, I think, a one-score game in the third quarter, similar to this Michigan State USC game that's going on right now. Michigan State just scored, so we'll see how
I
that
hope
plays
they
out
come. I hope they
for
come back
us.
and it just ruins this whole episode, and we have to change everything.
I will
It's
be
gonna be great.
editing until 5 a.m.
That'll be
But
amazing.
give me your thoughts on Maryland. Big win over Wisconsin.
Yeah, so for Maryland, the main thing that I want to touch on is that the biggest toss up for me was Maryland and Iowa. And I basically just gave the nod to Maryland because Iowa has a loss right now. That's all it was. I don't necessarily think that I think either team could win, on a neutral field, home or away against either of the other team, whether that is Maryland or Iowa, who I'm talking about right now. So I don't think that having Maryland ahead of Iowa right now really means a whole lot to me. I know it's going to mean a lot to people in the comments once I post it. They'll be upset about that. But I wanted to give Maryland some credit because they were undefeated basically, and they, in my opinion, earned it and got a big road win today or this weekend. And so did Iowa. They got a big road win this weekend. So that's why it was such a toss up for me. I was like, I could go either way with this one, but I'll just give Maryland their flowers for being undefeated.
Yeah, we were kind of down on Iowa. Zach and I did a live stream after that Iowa Rutgers game, and it was kind of like, yeah, you won this game by 10, but you probably should have controlled the game longer than you did. Rutgers controlled it for the most part, it felt like, and then Iowa in the second half really started to take control of that. So, yeah, it's a interesting situation with Iowa, but I'm gonna kind of go against what I said with Indiana and Illinois. Where I was like, yeah, it's not about how Illinois is bad. It's about how Indiana's good. Don't get me wrong. It was an impressive win for Maryland, and they deserve credit for that. But Wisconsin's bad. Wisconsin
Yeah.
is just bad. This is a bad offensive line. They do not have a quarterback. They're trying to get Billy Edwards back. He re-injures himself. Danny O'Neal is out there. He's trying to run around, do everything he can. You have Jaden Ballard like trying to just completely obliterate the punt returner when he's catching it. I saw some people say, "Oh, it wasn't intentional." That was 100% intentional. Maybe he didn't know if he had the ball or not, but he was still lunging at his head. I mean, that was pretty crazy in my opinion. And then on top of that, you had a defense with Wisconsin where the secondary is just not there. Unfortunately, I thought this was going to be a better secondary with Preston Zachman, Ricardo Holman, Allegar has been, you know, one of the brighter spots in the secondary, but it's been more because of his physicality and his willingness to hit more so than really his coverage skills and stuff. So it's concerning for Wisconsin. Give Maryland credit, but this is just a bad Wisconsin team.
Yeah. I also think that part of it that played into it for me was kind of my mindset going into the season. I think everyone would agree that before the season started, they thought Iowa would be better than Maryland, and they might still be. That's fine. But my thoughts on Iowa have gone down since the season started, despite the big win this weekend. Like you said, I thought Rutgers should have won that game on Friday night, if I'm being really frank. Like you said, they controlled the ball. They missed the one field goal, and then they got the other one blocked. And if those things don't happen, obviously, that always happens in every college football game. There's a lot of ifs and buts. Iowa won the game. That's fine. I still don't think Iowa is as good as what I thought they were going to be coming into the season. I thought their quarterback would be better. I thought their defense would be a little tighter. So they've gone down in my eyes just a little bit. And Maryland, I didn't know if they were going to win 4 games all season, and they already got 4. So I'm already way higher on Maryland than I was going into the season. So that's another reason why I just gave them a little bit of a bump, because I'm higher on where I thought they would be as far as Maryland's concerned, and then I'm lower a little bit on Iowa than what I thought I would be at this point in the year.
Yeah, I hear you for sure. I was messaging with Larry, and I just brought up Larry's comment because he's in here. Appreciate you being here, Larry. Hope everything's going well, man. Um, I do wonder, does this game change the expectations for you? Because that was kind of me and Larry's conversation we were having, was like the expectations was kind of like contend for a bowl this year. Get to 5 wins, maybe a sixth win. You have a chance later on in the season to get to that point. Larry was talking about, how he feels like his expectations are almost like 6 or 7 wins now. I still am hesitant to say 7 wins is an expectation, but I think 6 wins is something that you can expect. I wouldn't be super down if you don't get there because this is a young team and they might make mistakes later on in the season. But I mean, this is a Maryland team. If they play the way they did today with the defense and Malik Washington throwing the ball around like he did, this is a team that could get to a bowl game. And if with their youth, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I would say that if you're asking about my expectations before the season, for sure, they've already exceeded that in my mind. Like I predicted before the season started that Loxley would get fired after the UCLA game and he wouldn't get the plane home. Like they'd make him take a
Maybe,
Greyhound to get
maybe
home.
this is your Illinois from last year. You
It
predicted
that's
Illinois
what
to
it
win
feels
too.
like. That's 100% what it feels like. A team that I could not have been more wrong about is Maryland. So in my,
Yeah.
like I said, they've already exceeded it. So yeah, they definitely, their expectations have been raised. I think that 6 wins, at this point would almost be a disappointment from where they're at right now, because if I'm not mistaken, I think their next game is UCLA, right?
I believe so. Yes, I'll
And
double check.
and who knows what the state of their I mean, I expect Maryland to blow them out now. So that's 5 already. So what, you got to get
No,
2
it's
more
it's
wins?
Washington. They have
Okay.
Washington, Nebraska, and then at UCLA.
Okay, so they got a couple more weeks. All right. I don't have everyone's schedule memorized. I'm
That's
casual,
okay.
guys.
Yeah, you don't
Relax.
have to.
Yeah, that's right. I don't have to. I don't
Yeah.
have to do it. That's fine. No, but they still have UCLA. They still have a very winnable game, a couple winnable games left on the schedule. So yeah, I would say that 6 or 7 is the expectation at this point. I don't think anything higher than that my mind would be blown even more than it already is at this point, because I thought they were going to lose to Northern Illinois. In fact, I thought even that night they were still going to lose to Northern Illinois. They had a dogfight with them. So,
Hmm.
yeah, very impressed with Maryland. The expectations have been raised, I think, for everybody, unless you're like a diehard Maryland fan that's just like, I knew we were going to be good, which I have those people too that have told me, you just didn't know what you were talking about. Yeah, okay. No one
Yeah.
did, I guess, then.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always some fans like that. Larry helping us out. Bye week then
There
Washington.
you
I
go.
did forget to mention the bye week. Appreciate that, Larry. I mean, there's wins here on the schedule. You have 4 wins right now. That at UCLA, that Michigan State at home, and honestly, like I know Nebraska fans are gonna hate me for saying this, but with what Nebraska has done over the past few years, where it's just like they just drop a game. Like you can't count out Maryland in that game against Nebraska, especially considering it's at home. So you have at UCLA, at Rutgers, Michigan State, Nebraska, and then Washington is coming to you. That's a cross country trip, and we know that's been really tough on the teams going east to west, stuff like that. So we'll see, but yeah, I mean, there's a possibility here for Maryland to get to 6, 7 wins. Dare I say 8? No, I won't say
No,
8. I won't say 8.
you don't
Yeah.
dare say 8.
Yeah. So,
That's going to be
what
tough.
about these Wolverines here, Kent? These Wolverines are taking down the Cornhuskers. We all picked the Huskers, all 3 of us, to win this one. We felt like another road game for Bryce Underwood would be difficult, and Biff Poggi. Now, Biff Poggi didn't exactly help him out. There were a number of coaching mistakes in
Yeah.
this one. I felt like, and Nebraska had a couple as well. I won't say that they were completely out of it in this one, but I mean, Michigan State gets it done. Justice Haynes, Jordan Marshall, Bryce Underwood got it in the action. He had a touchdown on the ground as well. This is looking like the Michigan old school with a talented quarterback but an inexperienced one. What's your thoughts on Michigan?
Yeah, very interesting game. I didn't know what to expect. And again, I go back to what I said at the beginning. I didn't make a pick on this game. I was like, I'm just going to enjoy this for what it is. Ended up being, in my opinion, like the second best game of the weekend, behind the Iowa Rutgers game, surprisingly, even
Mm-hmm.
though I thought that game was going to be great going into it. But yeah, I, I felt like I actually texted somebody about 3 hours before that game started, and I said, I think Michigan should win, but I don't think that they will.
Hmm.
So I was kind of surprised that Michigan came out with the win when it all was said and done. But I did think that, they've shown signs throughout the year already that their defense can be stingy. It's just a matter of what is going to happen when they're on the road. And that Oklahoma game didn't give anybody any confidence about what anybody on that team can do. But they, like I said about, I forget who we were just talking about, Indiana,
Yeah.
just so much pressure throughout the game. The defense just kept coming from every angle. And the offense, in my opinion, really didn't have to do that much. They drew up some decently good plays, but it was the home run hitters by the running backs that were just the backbreakers. I think that the end of the game for me really was when Nebraska went on that long, methodical drive and they got the touchdown to draw. I can't remember if it was, I think it might have even been tied. And Michigan gets the ball back, and the very next play they go on a 75-yard touchdown run. It's a
Yep. Just
backbreaker.
his hands. Yep.
It's just such a, when you work so hard to go on a long drive like that just to be involved in the game, and then the other team just comes out and goes, never mind, no, you're not involved in this game. One play touchdown.
Well,
Yeah, it was just tough
typically,
to come back from. And
yeah.
honestly, it could have been even worse because the
Hmm.
Hail Mary at the end of the first half was amazing. It was incredible. Should have never happened. Like you said, should have been a timeout with 15 seconds left.
It was
Nebraska would have
third
had
and
to
16. Third and
Yeah.
16. Yeah.
Yeah. They would have had to punt right there, right? You're not going to throw a Hail Mary with that much time left, right? If you
Hmm.
call a timeout.
Yeah. They wouldn't, especially with the possibility of the interception and still getting the ball back. Yeah, they wouldn't have done that. But you let the clock wind down, and Matt Rule's like, I got a timeout left. Let's
Yeah.
keep a second on the
Pull
clock
one
and
up.
throw it
Yeah.
real quick. Let's see what happens. So, yeah, I mean, this Michigan team, honestly, it's an improved version from last year, but they
Yes.
still kind of feel like last year a little bit, right? Where they can beat anybody in the conference. If you get into the muck with them, they can beat anybody in the conference, and that's kind of what Nebraska did in this one. They got into the muck with them. They had bad offensive line play. Michigan's defensive line was fantastic. I was kind of questioning them a little bit because you weren't really seeing the production that you wanted to see for Michigan's defensive line, but boy, was that production back in this one. I'm not questioning that Michigan defensive line again, and stopping the run and everything else. I mean, Dylan Raiola wasn't bad in this game. He had over 300 yards passing. I think he was 30 of
He did? Wow.
41. Yeah, I mean, like he racked up the yards, and he wasn't bad, but there still is a level of, I think people are expecting more from him, which I don't know if that's fair or not. The dude doesn't have a run game, and he doesn't have an offensive line that could block for a run game. So he was sacked a number of times, though. I'm not looking forward to giving him a quarterback grade because honestly, it feels like one of the most difficult ones to give this week. But Nebraska, um, not as good of a secondary as we hoped. Bad defensive line, bad offensive line, and maybe it was just Michigan's defensive line. Maybe it'll look better next week, but yeah, I got concerns about Nebraska moving forward.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't be surprised by the yards because two of those long yardage passes, one was on the weirdest coverage I've ever seen on his first touchdown, and then one was 50 something yards probably on the Hail Mary right before halftime. So that's 100 yards right there on those two plays. I actually thought he looked scared some of that game, and I would have been too because he was on his back 7 times tonight or this afternoon,
Yeah, I think it was seven
and
sacks.
yeah, just so much pressure the whole game. I thought there were multiple plays where even when he didn't get sacked, you could tell that he was, kind of looking for where the pressure was coming from, and it made him second guess where he was throwing it. But he still made some great throws, though. Still made some great plays. So, yeah, it was all about Michigan's pressure throughout the game today. I think if they had a couple more seconds, a little bit better offensive line play from Nebraska, they would have won this game. But
Mm-hmm.
it was just too much defense from Michigan.
Yeah, last note on Michigan, and we'll move on. Is I think it's so impressive how that defensive line pass rushes as one. You can see some really good pass rushers at times, and this was one of my critiques of Penn State last year. Was Abdul Carter? He was a fantastic pass rusher, but it kind of felt like he was just kind of pass rushing on his own. Michigan pass rushes as a unit together. They work together. They contain the pocket. They make it really difficult. Now Dylan Raiola, not the most mobile guy in the world, but he's got some wheels and he's able to be mobile at times, and he has some pocket presence. I wouldn't say it's spectacular or anything like that. We've seen them be able to evade pressure against Cincinnati and some other teams like that. But this Michigan defensive line is just so hard to get out of the pressure and try to get away from the defensive line because of how they pass rush together as a unit and how impressive it is. So, all right, Kent, I've chosen the past few. We're kind of going toward the end of it here. Do you have any other teams you want to bring up or any movement that you had that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I thought for me it was everybody from, at least on my list, like Iowa all the way down to Purdue was just like such a mix of like, I feel like any of these teams can beat any of these teams. So it was really interesting. Purdue is the tough one for me because I really still think so. Let's talk about them for just a second. They're obviously bad still, and they're going to lose a lot of games still this year. But you kind of mentioned it with Michigan. They're a much improved team than what they were last year. Obviously, it's a changed look from what we got from an obvious loss, and everything was going to be an obvious loss last year. Do you think that, I guess I'll ask you a question. Do you think that Purdue finds their way anywhere near the top 10 by the end of this year at all?
No,
In
I
just
think the
this conference
schedule.
I'm talking about, obviously not
Yeah,
in the country.
no, I think they're going to be in the AP top 10. Yeah, them in
I mean,
Indiana.
based on some of the voters last week, I wouldn't be surprised. Notre Dame was in; they didn't even win a game yet. They were in top 25.
Watch them jump up to top 15 now. Like, oh, they beat Purdue. Watch out, they're top 15 now. Which would just be so crazy. Anyway, yeah, no, I think this Purdue team has too tough of a schedule to get there, and
Yeah,
typically on the power rankings, I don't really move teams up all that much for like a good loss, and I would say this was a loss that had some promise for Purdue, right? Like your offense put up 30 points on Notre Dame. Now, this is not the Notre Dame of last year and 2 years ago when they had Al Golden. Marcus Freeman made the stupidest mistake in the world and hired Chris Ash as his defensive coordinator. I don't know what in the world he's thinking, but I mean, it's not Alex. What was the former USC defensive coordinator?
Oh, you already lost me. I don't know
Yeah,
coordinators' names
he was
ever.
really really bad for Lincoln Riley a couple years ago, but he's not that level bad, but he's yeah, he's not good at all,
Yeah.
and it was a really perplexing hire by Notre Dame, and but I'm not going to take that away from Purdue. I think Purdue has a pretty good offense. I like their wide receivers. I like Ryan Brown, but overall, defense is not good enough. Offensive line a little suspect in some spots. Shouldn't that I mean that's being generous there, but overall, this Purdue team's improved. They're not a MAC level team from last year, but they are a lower level Big Ten team who might surprise us and beat a couple teams. But yeah, they're probably going to stay around the bottom 5, 6, 7 down there. USC just scored, so we're looking better.
Ah, bummer. I wanted the comeback kind of. I guess what I was trying to say about Purdue though was like, I wasn't on last week, so I didn't talk about this much, but hung in there tough with USC last week. Like you just said, scored 30 points against Notre Dame. And yeah, the schedule's tough. They got Illinois coming up, but they have games that I think that they'll be competitive in with Minnesota, Northwestern, obviously, and maybe even Rutgers. So there's three games right there that they could, be competitive. I just think it's a fun story to watch how Purdue's going to rebuild from going from what they were last year to, like I said, a lot of improvement this year. Probably still going to lose a lot of games, but it's going to be a fun ride, I think, for the next couple seasons to watch what Purdue does.
For sure. And I think these next 3 out of their 4 games, obviously not Illinois, but Minnesota, Northwestern, and I mean, who knows? They might beat Illinois. I mean,
I was going to
they
say,
were
it might be
a one
Illinois
score
too.
game with them last year. I'm not going to pick it to happen, but you never know. But at Minnesota, at Northwestern, Rutgers, I feel like that's really kind of the defining stretch of their season, right? If they go 2-1 at that point, like, okay, that's a good improvement. If they go 3-0, it's like, wow, okay, this team really improved. We need to consider them more. But if they go 0-3, 1-2, it's like, okay, you're not as bad as last year, but still not great. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. I don't know why. I feel like I always get drawn to those teams. I almost like talking about the teams at the bottom more than the ones at the top. Maybe I'm weird
Mm-hmm.
like that. But it's like Rutgers was a team. I know I talked to you about this offline, but like Rutgers is a team I've just been like loving to follow this year. They're so interesting to me. Like the quarterback play that they got in the first half on Friday night.
Only the first half, not the second.
Yeah. And just like you compare that to what it was almost like a different guy that came out in the second half. It was just like, what am I watching?
Yep.
And the defense being so bad, but the offense keeping them involved in games. They have an NFL wide receiver or NFL ready wide receiver in Ian Strong. Like, it's just a
Yeah.
fun team to watch. I feel like they run the ball decently. And I don't know why I just get drawn to those teams that are like near the bottom, and I almost like just want to see them rise up. Maybe that's what I'm trying to do with Purdue as well.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
No.
want everybody to be good.
Yeah, I mean everybody's got some potential here, but not really UCLA. Sorry,
Yeah.
UCLA. That's the problem
Yeah.
there. So, all right. Well, I guess let's unless you have anybody else, let's finish by talking USC Michigan State really fast. If for some reason, I mean, we're like I said, we're like at the end of the third quarter right now, if not the beginning of the fourth quarter. I think if for some reason Michigan State does come back, where would you kind of put them in your rankings, kind of general
Mm.
spot? Obviously, I mean, I guess maybe not. Would you have them above USC?
I would put them. Yeah, I think I would. Because like I said, I move like people around a lot with wins and losses. So I would move up Washington a spot, obviously the USC spot, and I would probably put. I mean, Michigan State would. I'd have to make the same argument that I just did with Maryland. So I would probably put Michigan State right behind Washington because they'd still be undefeated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they would have a really nice win, a really nice road difficult win late night at USC. So I'd probably put them right behind Washington and then put USC like behind maybe Iowa
Yeah.
or
So
right in front of Iowa.
big jump up for Michigan State and
Yeah.
small slide for USC. Yeah.
Yeah. I still really like Michigan State, by the way. I like watching them. Again, maybe this is going back to what I just said, but I love Aiden Childs. I love Nick Marsh. He's
He's a
amazing.
stud. Yeah,
He's
he's
just so
great.
fun to watch. Their whole offense is just really fun to watch when they're clicking. The
Yeah.
problem is I just don't feel like they're going to be able to get enough stops this year to be like involved in that upper echelon of the Big Ten. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just
They
tough for
could be a
them.
team. They could be a team that makes some noise, though. I mean, like in this game. Now, I think USC is gonna pull it out. Like I said, they
Yeah.
scored, so it's 38-24 at this time. So I'm not really too concerned about it. But I did want to at least put it in there, so that way, if somebody's watching this Sunday morning and they're like, "Hey, Michigan State came back," it's like, okay, well, that is kind of where we'd have things. So, all right, Kent, that's really all I got, man. You have anything else you want to mention with the power rankings?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think we got it correct, even though ours are different. We both got it right somehow.
There we go. There we go. All right, everybody. Hey, we appreciate you watching. We appreciate you listening. We will be doing Power Rankings episodes every Saturday or Sunday morning after all the games are complete. Sometimes we'll come on a little bit earlier, like in this scenario, just for our own, sleep schedule and everything like that. But also we'll be coming on here and talking, just the games in general and having fun with that, if nothing else. So we appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching. Kent, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, just don't go to bed, people. If Big Ten football's on, you got to stay up and watch it. You just have to. If you're a
Mm-hmm.
true fan, even if you're a fan of any team in the Big Ten, you are required to stay up and watch
Mm-hmm.
every team in the Big Ten until completion. You have to
Even
wait until the game is over, and then you may close your eyes and go to sleep. Those are the rules.
even the Big Ten casuals stay up. I mean, you
Yes,
have to
you
stay
have
up.
to.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
make the rules. I just follow them.
Yep. That's true. That's true. All right, everybody. Hey, we appreciate you being here. Thank you, Kent, for coming on. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.